Hello and welcome once again, Mr. Bill Gates, on Times Now. And second time that we have you on, frankly speaking. It's a pleasure to be with you. And the Goalkeepers Report. Startling findings in the report, especially as far as malnutrition is concerned. You bring up some very startling numbers. 400 million kids are not getting enough nutrients, and the situation between 2000 and 2020 was a health boom, and things going down from then right up to 2050. What's the reason that you think this is happening, and how do we stop it?
Well, most people aren't aware of what a miracle it was that, we cut overall deaths of children from 10 million at the turn of the century now to under 5 million. A lot of that was we got out new vaccines for all the world's children, and that helped with diarrhea, pneumonia, pretty amazing. Then the pandemic hit, and then the aid budgets that are very important, particularly for Africa, got diverted somewhat to other issues. And so now we need to resume the generosity for health spending. We're advocating for that. We need to pick up on new innovations.
So let me ask you, the Goalkeepers Report also makes a point about economists looking at growth, not looking at health of people as a fundamental part of that growth story. How do you think across the world we can change that, and what is the Bill Gates formula for doing this?
Well, the World Bank, I would say, really did start talking about human development, that it's not just GDP per person, because as you make investments in children's health and their education, that pays off 20 years later. And so you want countries to really measure themselves and be incentivized to do better on health and education. And then it will, with the leg, be fantastic economically. And I would say India's been very good on that. They have programs that our new research is helping to inform how to make them even more effective. But India has substantial programs, midday meal, trying to make sure that the food that's used there is very nutritious food. So a lot of the pioneering of doing better on malnutrition, we're doing that with our partners in India, because even though it's not a solved problem, the effort being made there is very impressive.
You have a close connect with Prime Minister Modi, or at least that's what it looks like when you are together on camera, and that's the sense people in India get. When you speak with Prime Minister Modi on the issues of health, malnutrition, what are the specifics, and in terms of the vision, how can India do things better, and any ideas that the Prime Minister Narendra Modi has discussed with you?
Well, I'm very pleased that he prioritizes health. He's really speaking out about that. Also, when the government's doing well, he likes that to be measured and acknowledged. But then, whenever the numbers don't work, he's very impatient. Okay, do I need to, pick another team, or how do I drive it? And he has people at ICMR, Niti Aayog, who he's saying to them, what are the best practices in this area? What do the Indian researchers say? And because our foundation is working so closely with those teams, when I do get to see the president, we're, our goals are in common. How do we achieve this faster? And so in health and in agriculture, India is on track. They're not, subject to the degree of debts that African countries have. And so, it is a wonderful place that will not only set an example, but prove out new technologies.
Mr. Bill Gates, the question here is also, the last time we met at a breakfast meeting with some ministers of the Indian government with you, and you were talking a lot about the kind of data that the Indian government has, and data that actually connects people to the needy people, the welfare state, and how there is a whole model that works on the data availability and connecting people to the needs. How do you think India is doing in that direction in terms of reaching the last mile to the last needy person in a welfare state?
Well, the ultimate test in the world of health is to look at a number of the deaths. I mean, it's tragic stuff, but to look into it and figure out, okay, what was the cause of that? Is it diarrhea? Okay, do we need a vaccine, or is that, better sanitation? Was it pneumonia? Okay, did they get the vaccine? And so this idea of really understanding those deaths, which there's a lot of researchers, some of whom we give grants to, that's guiding the priority. India in general has very high vaccination coverage, and there are parts of the country where it's not as high. India manages at the federal level to provide more resources to the poorer states, and that, I've seen that's being applied now to improve the quality of these health services. So that constant feedback loop, yes, there is an awareness, Are we Kala-Azar? Are we near to eradication? No. Okay, it's still in these few places. What do we need to do there? There's these so-called neglected diseases where we do these mass campaigns, and the coverage levels of those drugs wasn't high in some places. And so now we've seen that, and the government's driving the quality there. So, you have to be constantly learning. When the things don't go well, you have to kind of say, okay, how do we adjust that? And, health in India is on that learning curve. Yeah, in the Netflix series, I talked to a lot of people, Lady Gaga, my daughter, and, the scale of misinformation is a surprise to me. I thought digital connections would reduce misinformation, not increase it. So, striking the right balance of free speech, but not misleading people about when they should have vaccines or, how they should vote, these kinds of things. It is a challenge. I know young people are working on it.
Any predictions on American elections you'd like to hazard a guess? No.
I mean, the quest for reducing malnutrition is going to go on. We'll have different people elected. Some would be better than others. But, my commitment to these causes won't vary based on who gets elected.
And how did you enjoy your interview with Prime Minister Modi?
It's always great to see him. I look forward to seeing him next year.
Next year?
Yeah.
Well, we'll wait for you to come back to India. Seems to be a place, hopefully, that you enjoy with all the food and all the activity that happens there. But thank you very much, Mr. Bill Gates. Thank you for showing the way to the world on how to deal with challenges that can improve lives of children above everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.